Hello everyone. I wanted to create a video that better explains how I got to where I am. And I'll start with the 4 pillars of health that all require attention. First, physical. Second, mental.
What the fuck?
Third, emotional. And fourth, spiritual. I think that most of you know that you should be exercising, but you lack the time, the knowledge, and the motivation, and that's why I'm here to help you fill those gaps. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the physical. First off, you all need to be drinking more water. A lot of water. So try your best, cut out all the soda, cut out the beer, cut out the juice. I know I'm asking a lot. We all like our comforts. But if you want to instill positive change in your life, you're going to have to recognize your mistakes and correct them. If you have old injuries or ailments, you do not have to reside within those limitations. You see, I've broken my foot 3 times, broken a few fingers, fractured my elbow, bone spurs in my neck. I have scoliosis, I've broken my back, herniated a disc so bad I was leaking spinal fluid. I have arthritis in most of my joints, even in my hips. I've had many surgeries. The second to last one left me with a bum leg, the inability to eat, and I even had to learn how to speak all over again. I had shoulder surgery earlier this year that brought me even further down. And the only thing that helped me was making healthy and mindful choices. Another thing is grocery shopping. I bet most of you have heard to stay out of the aisles, and while that is helpful advice, there are things within the aisles that can definitely help you out. You just have to know what you're looking for. But a good rule of thumb that I always use is to spend the majority of my money on food in the produce section, which leads me to my next point. Learn how to cook real food from scratch or as close as it to that you can get. Again, I know time is something that most of you do not have a surplus of, but trust me, going through the process of it all is totally worth it. YouTube is a great tool for learning little tips and hints on cooking, but most skill comes from the cooking itself and making mistakes so you can learn and grow, which leads to mental health. What I love about clean eating is what it does to your brain. Imagine if your brain, like the brain fog you feel, could be addressed with simply eating cleaner. Imagine if your racing thoughts and your neurotic triggers could be more easily controlled with exercise. Well, they can be. I'm living proof. Having gone through combat stress and battling PTSD, I know all too well what can happen mentally when things don't exactly go your way. So for all you fellow crazies out there, changing your lifestyle in a positive way is a great way to grow positive energy within yourself, enough to see through your pain. When you see a difference in your appearance, or when you notice you ran a little further, or when others start to comment on how great you look, that tends to have an effect. And it boosts your self-esteem, your confidence, and your hunger for more. But it all starts as a thought. And I know that most of you have thought your way into the predicament that you're in right now. So look at eating right and exercising as simply a recipe for happiness, true happiness. Which brings me to the next pillar, emotional health. Now, this one's a little tricky because we're all emotional. It's how we express whatever's going on mentally. But I will tell you this, emotionally speaking, I was a wreck before all of this. From not being able to feel to drowning in depression and resentment, I've gone through every emotion in less than 20 minutes before. But something happens when you start to take control of your body. Your mental and emotional problems start to dwindle because once you've realized you're in control, you feel empowered. And that state of being is what most of us lack. That beautiful sense of self-empowerment. Your emotions are yours to express or repress. It's up to you. So stop wallowing in sadness and regret and wallow in a pool of sweat and satisfaction instead. And lastly, I'm going to talk about spiritual health. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of religion. It totally has its place in this world. I can't argue that. It does a lot of good. But that's different than, spiritualism. Um, if religion brings you closer to your spirit, then by all means, keep doing what you're doing. But for me, no prayer or church or God has ever mended me. Doctors, nurses, therapists, police, friends, and family, they have helped me toward a better life. So maybe, the God you've been talking to is actually inside you and everybody else. But ultimately, it came down to me. Hitting my lowest point, rock bottom, was when I had my spiritual awakening, having no other choice but to start clawing my way back up was actually an amazing feeling, especially considering the fact that I've actually attempted suicide. You see, being spiritually empty means that there's little drive for the mind and body. So I started to meditate. I drank less alcohol. I removed toxic people from my life and focused on the me that was inside trying like hell to break out. Part of my spiritual health is knowing and accepting who and what I am. We are all way too hard on ourselves. We place limitations where freedom should be. And we doubt ourselves and our abilities based on the contrast produced by other people's hate and insecurities. We say things like never, I can't, won't, impossible, I wish, in a perfect world. Well, guess what? The world is not perfect, and neither are you, nor will you ever be. But that right there is the secret formula, is knowing that you know nothing and that your flaws help shape the miracle that is you. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about constantly rising to the occasions of life. It's realizing you know nothing, and within not knowing, a wisdom is born. So when you let loose the shackles of the mainstream and just do you, miracles happen. And the biggest miracle of all is you. So try and get to know your spirit, or what drives you, and then sink your teeth in it and never let go. We are all capable of greatness, but until you stop thinking and start doing, you will continue to feel diminished and lost. I know this will help some of you. My only hope is some of you hear my message clearly, to constantly rise. Stay fit and stay healthy. Peace.